Ahoy there, Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another developer Q&A video for Eve Echoes. Each week the developers take 4 questions posed to them by the community, respond to those questions, and then post the responses to the official Twitter, Facebook, Discord, and somewhere in-game as well. Each week I go through the developer Q&A, I read the questions, I read the answers, and I give my opinions on all of that, what it might mean to the game if it were added, if it's not added, and so on and so forth. This is, of course, therefore an opinion piece, and if you're one of these people who's browsing the internet in 2022 and you're averse to people having opinions, I would shut this video down now and just go look up the damn dev Q&A for yourself. If you do have a question you would like to ask the devs, you can click a link in the description down below that'll take you through to a Google document where you can ask a question to the developers. If yours is one of the questions chosen to be featured, then you will receive a month of basic Omega. Again, that comes from the developers, not me. I'm just a content creator giving my own personal thoughts and opinions. And if you like my thoughts and opinions, then do make sure to hit like on this video, subscribe to the channel, make sure to ding that notification bell, and of course check out Patreon if you want to go the extra mile to help support this channel and keep me doing what I do. Anyway, with all that said and done, let's jump right into this week's developer Q&A, which is for the week of the 26th of January through to the 1st of February. The new faction wargame mode is awesome, says the first question. Thanks for the possibility of trying out my own ships in real PvP battles. Would it be possible to see the health of teammates as when you follow someone in normal fleet battle? Tailless Fox responds, we're working on the permanent version of the DIR reflection mode. Visibility of team HP should only apply when you're in a capsule, but it is good feedback. We'll consider adding it in future modes. Differences between the normal and wargame fleet are so slight that I don't see any reason to change it. We're also exploring different team sizes and combat formats for new modes. As a quick question there to Tailless Fox, surely you also need to be able to see your teammates' HP if you are in a logistics vessel, just in case anyone wants to go into the DIR reflection with something like a scythe or an osprey or a burst or something like that to beat logistics. Surely that's a point where you'd want this as well. So I think the whole logistics view could actually do with a bit of an overhaul in general, but that's a different topic for a different video. Ultimately, good feedback here. I just disagree that the faction wargame mode is awesome. I think it's good. I just think it is horrifically flawed in the fact that there is a strong meta, and you know what I'm talking about. If you've been into DIR Reflection, then you know what I'm talking about. It absolutely sucks that I can queue up with 3 frigates and end up going up against 3 Vindicators. There should be some kind of matchmaking involved in this that's either like classes or things like ship value. I don't know. I think thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below how you would balance that in faction wargames. And yes, I know it is theoretically possible for 3 frigates to take down 3 battleships, but it's not much of a fun fight, and it's one heck of an uphill struggle for the most part. I've done it enough times to go in with a frigate or destroyer and just find myself up against like Apocalypse Strikers and like Typhoons and all this jazz, or as I said, Vindicators, Hyperions. It's just, what are you supposed to do against that? There's not really much you can do. Now in EVE Online, and yes, again, I'm talking about EVE Online, you have things called faction wargame complexes. These are actually out in the world, in low sec. They're like arenas that you can jump into. And they come in large, medium, small, and I think it's rookie or something like that. The basic concept is that they take that particular size of ship and below. So in a large faction wargames complex, you can have everything up to and including battleships. The medium ones will take everything up to and including battle cruisers. The small ones will take frigates and destroyers. And the rookie ones, or the novice ones, I think it's novice actually, will take only frigates, which makes for excellent frigate PvP. And it's one of the most common things for frigate PvPers to do. It's, great fun just to pull in there and know that you're going up against ships of only the same size as you. That said, you may find that there are more than one ship there, and it might not be a one-on-one, it might be a 3v1 and stuff like that, but you can scan it ahead of time. I just think that the DIR reflection, if it's going to be an arena, there needs to be some kind of internal balancing to make sure that actually you are having a somewhat fair fight, and that it's not 3 Vindicators up against 3 Condors, because yeah, that's not fun. Now, the next question is upside down. So, special drones like mining and E-war drones are missing completely. Can we expect at least mining drones this year? And Pixie responds, thanks for your feedback, but we currently have no plans to introduce more drones with different features due to the performance pressure they will bring. Basically, drones right now are causing big issues because they are basically entire ships. The game considers them entire ships, and thus they have all the stats, etc. So if you've got 20 ships and 20 drones, that's the same as having 40 ships on grid. Adding the possibility for more drones, I'm not sure I agree with the logic here, because basically what you're saying is that, okay, all of those retrievers that would have 20 combat drones are now going to have 20 mining drones. Surely that's still 20 drones. I get that there's a variance in those drones, which might put pressure, but it surely can't be all that much, from what I understand of how game programming works, at least. But hey, that might be on me. Regardless, though, they say here, in the industrial version, which is coming in May, we will introduce new modules for industrial ships, which will have similar effects as mining drones and salvage drones. That's pretty cool. We know that mining and industry is going to be getting a boost in May. That is a worrying thing right now. And no, I don't hate miners, for crying out loud. People stop saying that. But right now, if they just boost miners with how things are in the game at current, then miners are actually going to suffer. You might sit there and go, oh yeah, I've got all these exciting new mining ships with mining foreman links and better mining modules and things like that, but you as an individual miner are going to suffer, because you're not going to be able to bring in more ore. Well, okay, you're going to bring in more ore, but you're not going to bring in more ISK, because you'll be bringing in more ore. That ore has nowhere to go, and so it drops in value. Oh, but I'm only a small independent miner. Then you're going to be hit worst, because all the people who have fleets of the big exciting toys are going to be able to bring in much more ore than you can get, and they're the ones that set the price, meaning the small independent miners, the new player miners, have nothing to compete with, and ultimately are just priced out of the game, because if everyone else is selling stuff in massive amounts at dirt cheap, like ISK, how do you compete with that? You can't make that same amount of ISK. Your time becomes more worthless as a miner. I've done entire videos on this. So there needs to be some big changes to industry and mining before that industrial version goes live, or as that industrial version goes live, namely ore sinks. We need ways to get ore removed from the game, and pronto. Now, anyone complaining that we're not getting mining drones and we're not getting like e-war drones and things, well, if you're a miner worried that you're not getting mining drones, be glad that you get to keep your combat drones. There's no sort of like, oh, do I have mining drones or do I have like combat drones? You just have the combat drones and you get the boosts to your ship by default, which is pretty cool. Let's move on. Third question here. It's cool to see more medals introduced, which I agree. They added medals for the recent quiz in-game. Keep it up. I would be interested to offer pilots a small perk for earning and wearing specific medals, and create more medals for the ways people play. Such as a medal for mining 1 billion cubic meters of ore would offer the pilot who chooses to wear that medal some small mining bonus. There could be medals for training all skills associated with the ship class to 555, earning a certain amount on the market, reaching the top tier in faction wargames, etc. I actually agree with this. This is really cool, and it would need to be an incredibly small bonus, but it could be quite an interesting way of doing it. And heck, if they don't even add the bonuses, having more medals and more achievements in the game can only be a good thing. I'm a bit of an achievement whore when it comes to things like, you know, the PlayStation 5, and going for the platinum in as many games as I can. Even on mobile, if a game has Android achievements, I tend to try and get them. I spent a lot longer than I should do in certain games trying to get the achievements that are available. Now, Melos says, currently medals are mainly given out through some specific events and stories rather than based on players' in-game achievements. We'll later consider fulfilling players' needs for honour and achievement through a special achievement system. And I'd love to see just stand-up achievements, like you can open up a character, like on your character page you actually have a list of achievements that people can see and look at. Like getting 100 PvP kills, getting 1,000 PvP kills, stuff like that you can just see. Doesn't necessarily need to be a medal. I think having medals for some of those would be pretty cool, like when World of Warcraft first introduced achievements back in the day. Some of those gave you titles. Some of them gave you things like exclusive mounts, which were insanely cool. And it gave you a reason to actually go for those achievements, but I don't think it's necessary. I think sometimes just having the achievements is enough. I don't get anything for platinuming Demon Souls, but I just done it, so Like, I still clearly want to do it, and when Elden Ring comes out, I'll be going for the platinum in that as well. So even though I get nothing for those, I still want to do it just for the prestige. So I think there's a bit of a mixed bag here. I think it would be cool to get trophies. I think achievements would be amazing, first off. I think achievements in the game would be absolutely fantastic. I think then having trophies for some of those achievements, like medals that you can equip, would be pretty awesome, or certain skins that you can get for doing certain things. Absolutely agree with that. You can see they sort of tried this a little bit with the scholar point system, but I just would like to see that developed further. And heck, if some of those medals had unique little abilities, that could be really cool. That could be really cool, like a frigate or destroyer one. Like, yeah, you get 555 in all skills that have frigate in the name. You get +1 damage with all small turret weapons if you have that medal equipped. Stuff like that, I don't know, could be interesting. Finally then, any plans on freight? Oh boy, yeah. Some ideas I've heard is doing away with regional delivery, no, and warp speed bonus in high and low sec. The warp speed bonus exists because this is a mobile game. In EVE Online, you can accept that it's going to take you like an hour and a half to jump from Pater down to the EVE Gate if you wanted to visit it, but in a mobile game, you can't do that. Yes, we've got offline autopilot, but through nullsec and stuff like that. Look, the idea is that having the bonuses to high and low sec just speeds up travel. It's a quality of life thing that ultimately freight benefits from it as well, you know? As Lance here says, we plan on optimizing delivery. It's divided into two main directions. One is to improve players' willingness to send shipments and generate more demand for transportation. The other is to reduce the risk for couriers. And I kind of see that. I don't think that like making it so that everyone suffers and has to take longer jumping from A to B is the way to do it. That's just a punishment thing. I think ultimately, yeah, if you made it made people more willing to actually use the delivery system, then hell yeah, that would be really cool. Reducing the risk for couriers as well. I think if you were to deliver to nullsec stations, you can't reduce the risk too much. But, I mean, heck, as someone who has piloted a Wreath through nullsec just to prove I can, through like 4 gate camps in one go, yeah, there are ways to do this, but I get that not everyone wants to do that. The people who are mainly doing freight, and I'm going to get crucified in the comment section for saying this, but I'm going from like experience of people I've talked to. The main people doing freight do it as a completely offline way of making money. Dock at a station, pick up containers, drive to, autopilot to the next station, turn your phone off, come back when you get the notification that you've arrived. Literally, that's how they play the game. So you've got to be careful that you kind of play to the strengths of what freight is doing and keep it unique. I think that doing more PvE freight, like the actual encounters and missions for freight, would be another way to help make it a viable income for people. I don't know. I think there's some interesting ideas bouncing around. I just don't like removing the warp speed bonus, and I definitely don't like doing away with regional delivery. But there definitely needs to be a reason to actually go to different trade centres, because right now you use Jita unless there's a benefit to going to Amar, and those are literally the only two that we really use. Anyway, folks, those are my thoughts and opinions for this week's developer Q&A. If you like the screenshot here, that is the Kriel system. Go and check that one out. It's got a really cool bit of loot, backstory behind it, bit of loot, bit of lore behind it. If you're interested in knowing more about the lore in EVE Echoes, then I do have a couple of videos on stuff like that as well that you should check out. I'll put them in the description below. Probably put one on screen now. Go have fun, watch those, and let me know what you think. I'd like to do more videos, more lore videos at some point. They've just never been overly popular, so if people want them, just let me know, hey, in the comment section down below. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching right the way through to the end. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden.